falling on your face again. You tumble down, roll around, and you know that everything is moving now. So lately I can decide on the high, oh, and when I do, I'm sure I'll end up moving to a suit and tie, celebrate, laugh or cry. What's I gotta do? 'Cause everything moves, everything pulses, everything lies in the eyes of you. Everything moves, everything pulses, everything lies in the eyes of you. Everything lies in the eyes of you, eyes of you, in the eyes of you, in the eyes of you, in the eyes of you.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Next 18 Speaker Orientation. Thank you very much for coming, and we hope you got excited by that video because we're excited to see you. Congratulations on being selected to be a speaker at Next. It's an honor and a privilege, and we're all going to be here to support you to be successful. Today we're going to walk through a couple of things to help you be successful, specifically around how we're supporting you as a speaker, and we're going to talk about key milestones and recommendations and some of the session timing. But before we get started, I wanted you to hear from our executive sponsor, Matt Kaufman, who heads up the Strategic Partners and Events team, to talk about the vision and tone and strategy for Next. Matt, I'll pass it over to you.
Thanks, Mark. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for making the time to join us today. So as Mark said, we wanted just to spend the day running through our sort of vision and plans for Next. I think we've spent a bit of time talking about this. Now we're getting into the detail and the fun part. And so for us, Next 2018 is really an exciting step change year on year. And I know that a lot of you were already involved in Next 17 last year. And for those of you that it's new, we really are taking things to a new level and to a new place. And so hopefully you've got the slide up on the screen, which talks about this notion of the World's Fair as being our next destination for Next. And one of the things that we spend a lot of time talking about as a team is how do we break the mold of tech conferences and move things on from the status quo. And so what you can see from this slide here is we're really trying to build out a highly googly environment, one that's unique to us, one that very much represents our brand, our vision, and gives a platform to bring our product story to life. And that's very much anchored by the breakout sessions and the content that each of you will be delivering over the course of the week in July. If you jump to the next slide, Mark, one of the key kind of takeaways from this vision is that it's very, very important for us to articulate and present how we're different and unique from everybody else. And by doing that, we need to be more like ourselves. And this is something that we've definitely spent a lot of time thinking about and understanding. It's what the market expects of us. It's what the analyst community expects of us. And I think in many cases, what we want to see from us. So this idea of the World's Fair comes to life through this living, breathing, buzzing personification of Google Cloud. And we're really thrilled about the key role that breakout sessions are going to play in that. So to that end, congratulations on being selected. As Mark would have mentioned in previous briefings, we were truly inundated with requests. We had, I think, over 800 submissions in the end. 1,200 submissions, I should say, and we've been able to select, the best of those submissions. And the breakout content really, it represents the core experience for our attendees. It's very much what people are coming to hear and to learn about. And so, please consider this as being the crown jewels in terms of why people are spending their time and in many cases their money coming along to Next. A special thanks to our external speakers as well. This year, it's definitely a new process for us to open up the speaking opportunity to both customers and partners. So we're glad that we can have you as part of that process as well. From a housekeeping standpoint, I know Mark's going to go through a bunch of this, but for those of you that are approved, please work hard over the next week or so to get your sessions completed and published in the Resource Centre so they appear externally. It's a really, really important part of helping to drive awareness of the event and registration as well. To that end, something that we will be doing again this year that we did last year is we're giving each of our speakers a small allocation of complimentary tickets to extend to your networks. They are limited in number and they are limited in duration. So we'll send you a detailed note with what the number is and how to redeem it. But obviously we understand that you've got associates and networks that you'd like to have come along and hear you speak and present. So we'd love to help make that process a little bit easier for you. But other than that, just be yourself, have fun, bring a kind of a diverse mindset, including the content that you're presenting. The technical depth is a really important part of these sessions. We got overwhelming feedback last year that our attendees wanted a little bit more technical breadth in some of the sessions. So, as you go through building out your content, testing the content and running it past different dry run audiences, keep that factor in mind. But other than that, thank you so much for taking a speaking spot at Next. We're here to help. Mark and the team have put together a fantastic suite of resources, both people and systems that can help you out. We're excited to see you all in July, and I'll hand it back to Mark. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matt. So let's dive right in to some of the speaker support elements. When you send an email or a question to the Alias, this is the team supporting you. We have Kristen and Lori on the line today to help answer questions in the Dory and on the YouTube. And if you're not able to answer questions via the chat in YouTube, you could send a question to Kristen via the email Alias. So what we're doing is we're going to be the ones behind the scenes helping NAG to make sure you're following the deadlines. And we'll get to that later. We've also set up the Speaker Resource Center, and that's basically your hub for everything you need to know to be successful. There's an FAQ in there. That's where you'll register. That's also where you handle all the information related to the session. We'll have in there the people that are registering for your session, so you'll start to see the uptake after registration goes live, likely in early June. Over the next 4 weeks, we're going to start looking at the session scheduling, and we'll have that information also populated in the Speaker Resource Center. And then probably in July, we'll note the location of your session. We always wait to the last minute for that because we can see what registration's coming in, and we can appropriately assign the room to the right size. Our team will also facilitate corporate reviews, which we'll get into. And we'll also handle any tech checks and on-site speaker services, and what you'll have there is a speaker lounge. So we're talked about a little bit about how the content team is supporting you. Let's also talk a little bit about your role as a speaker. Obviously, it's to develop a great kick-ass presentation. It's also to facilitate appropriate stakeholder and peer reviews. See, we don't know at our level where the right content and technical people are in your community and in your pools of peers. So we'd like you to make sure that you invite the right pools of peers as you develop the content and leading up to what we're calling June 6th, which will be the dry run day. And if you have questions on who else should be in your review, want to make sure that DevRel is represented in your reviews so that they can make sure they can provide the right pain points to help you focus on the educational aspects of your session to kind of hit the expectations for that attendee. And then we'd like you all to rehearse on June 6th. June 6th, we're going to try this. I know they do this for I/O, but it's basically practice makes perfection, and we are all here to deliver a product, and you are that product, and how you present and how fluid you are and how intuitive you make the content that you have is going to be represented by the rehearsing that you do. So we're trying to do this early. You invite your peers. It's going to be a virtual all around the world, around the campuses, and you set up a GVC and invite your peers to go through the full line. And then we'll have time later to add that feedback into your session before it's delivered. Now, I added the track owners here. Again, they're not here to work on the administration of your work. They're not here to tell you what to do. They're basically here to support you in terms of content strategy and advise on who else should be in the room for your content reviews. They spend a lot of time working with DevRel, customer engineering, product teams to get from 1,400 submissions down to what will be about 400. So reach out to them with questions related to strategy and content, but not related to administration of your session itself. You could send those to us, to the speaker alias. As I mentioned in the Speaker Resource Center, this will be your hub. We will populate here the session details. You'll populate here who's registered for your sessions. And then after the event, you can go log into this Speaker Resource Center and actually see how the attendees viewed your session. You'll be able to see the feedback. You'll be able to see the scoring based on the 4 questions that we asked them. For the contact details in here is if you have an issue with the Speaker Resource Center, it's not populating your session, the reports aren't coming out correctly, you can send an email to the technical alias. The other alias goes to us with specific nature of the session. If you have session changes, if you have title changes, you want to add a speaker, you want to add a customer speaker, be sure to add that here. We're getting close to finalizing all the sessions. We're about, if you haven't seen your session populate yet, we're in the process of still editing that, so that will show up in the next week or so. And we're still waiting on about 60 or so that are going to be selected and finalized. So let's walk quickly through the key milestones. I've mentioned a couple already. But before I do that, I wanted to share something with you that we did in January and December that connected to some of the post-event surveys that we did after the event last year. Basically, we interviewed about 1,100 people that go to technology conferences, and it was important to get a sense of what we kind of know that that the conference is going to be successful, is that they're coming to learn something, and they're coming to learn about new technologies and how to solve a business problem. And so what we're aiming to do is to build a conference that's going to provide inspiration, provide technical learning, and really focus on business problem solving. So what does that mean to you? That means they're coming to see a high-quality breakout session with the right mix of technical, advanced, intermediate, and introductory level. Again, how to address business problems. And for some of you, this may be obvious, but others may not. We don't want this breakout to be salesy. People turn off. They gain more loyalty if they walk away having learned something than if you told them something. So with sessions that are working with different topics that may, on the bend of marketing, make sure you try to focus on education and not salesy. So let's talk about some important deadlines real quick. So between now and the April 27th, we'd like you to log into the SRC and register. And between the 27th and the end of the month, you'll have gathered your pools of peers who will help you with the content development, and you'll do content reviews. And then around the end of the month, you'll say, okay, I'm ready to do my dry run. And then we want you to schedule that dry run for June 6th. Now that dry run is not a time to talk about the content. It's a time to actually do a dry run like I did this morning before I started this session, but actually physically rehearse it and get a feeling like you're in the room presenting to 200 people. Feel anxious, feel stressed. Use that energy to transmute it to great, good content. And then you'll have time to gather that feedback from your peers and include it in your presentation, and then submit a near final draft to legal and branding around June 20th. Now, I'll talk a little bit in the next slide about what the review period looks like, but you'll have time to make edits after, and then we'd like the final presentation on July 13th. And then on July 18th, we'll come back together and talk about what you need to know before you go. Quickly, just talking about what the review process is. The beauty of using G Suite, which you can't do using Microsoft, is that legal, PR, and branding are going to make comments into your deck. So you don't have to wait for the slide deck. You just have to wait for the notification of the email. And so between June 20th and July 9th is this timing where our teams are going to be commenting into your deck saying, hey, is this photo approved? Is this customer quote approved? Do you have the right license to use this video on ET? So those comments we'd like you to address between June 20th and July 9th. And then after, you'll still have another week or so to make final changes before we need the final draft. Now, we need the final draft. You're saying, why do I need it 2 weeks before? Well, we're doing 400 sessions, and there's a bunch of rooms and production teams that want to actually look at how all these slides render on different types of screen sizes and stuff. So we have to do a lot of production and the nuts and bolts of things between July 13th and when we go live. So we appreciate your support in doing that, and there's a lot of people to help you make these deadlines. And again, what you're doing is a tremendous effort. It will not go unnoticed, so we appreciate your support. So what I'd like to do is pass this over to Jacinda Mines from our PR department to give you a couple more tips and tricks on how to avoid unnecessary reviews and approvals from legal and PR. Here you go,
All
Jacinda.
right. Thank you so much, Mark. It's great to be here today to give some best practices on behalf of the Google PR and legal teams to all of our speakers, both Googlers, partners, and customers who will join us at Next. Bottom line, just wanted to let you know that what I'll be talking about today, similar to what Mark referenced, is basically best practices to keep in mind when you're developing your content for the event so that you can experience a seamless review process when you submit that content over to Google PR and Legal for review. There are a few things to keep in mind that will streamline that process for you. I've outlined them here today in this document, but they're also outlined in greater detail in the template, the deck template that Mark will share. So at any point during the conversation today, or if you want to follow up offline, please feel free to reach out, and we are here to answer any questions that you might have. So at the end of the day, it's ultimately the speaker's responsibility for the content that they are presenting during Next. That means that the speaker and the content developers are ultimately responsible for securing the necessary reviews and approvals for any and all content that they present during Next. So if there are any customer names, stats that you want to include in your session, you are responsible for securing the necessary approvals for that. Also, if in your session you want to jazz it up a little bit with photos, music, data, or logos, please make sure that you secure the necessary reviews and permissions to use that content. As my friend in legal reminded me, that even if an image is available in Google Images, you don't necessarily have permission to use that by copying, pasting into your deck. So make sure that you have the proper permissions to use any of that type of content. Product launches are something that we're all really excited about at Next. We want to generate awareness and excitement around everything that we make, everything that we announce at the event. However, if you do have product launches or new product mentions in your session, please make sure to call that out. We don't want to give away any of the secret sauce prior to the event, and so we want to pay close attention to how we share and promote your session prior to the event, but also how you position that product in the deck. Also, for roadmap disclosures or M&As that might be coming up tied to the industry at large, this is from both a Google and a partner and a customer perspective. Please avoid sensitive subjects like that. We want to make sure that none of the content you present during the event is sensitive in nature or might have long-term legal implications. So just be mindful of that. There's also a lot of negative churn in the industry today around AI, ML, and security. And so we want to be mindful about how we position these topics throughout Next and the sessions that we present. We don't want to be seen as contributing towards the fear-mongering around these products, or excuse me, around these topics. So please keep that in mind when you position some of those subject matters in your sessions. Also, this is for the Googlers. If you are wanting to include new stats that have not been shared externally, or you're not sure if an existing stat has been shared externally, please take a look at our earnings one-pager. It's readily available on MoMA. Take a look there before you want to incorporate any stats in your presentation. And if the stat that you want to use is not included in that earnings one-pager, please take the necessary steps to secure approval, and that includes reaching out to PR, legal, and IR for review. And of course, we all want to talk about the great customer success stories that we have as part of the technology that we're bringing to market. So we want to make sure that all of those customer stories are approved for external sharing. So if you have any questions on whether or not the customer name or the logo or the case study that you want to include in your session is approved for external sharing, please reach out to the customer reference team for Google Cloud. They have a wealth of knowledge and can help guide you on best practices for securing the necessary approvals for any of those customer use cases. And then, of course, when in doubt, reach out. The Google PR team is here to answer any questions that you might have. Like I said at the top, you do have, for those partners and customers, you do have your internal PR and legal folks. So feel free to start with those internal references and resources first. And if you still have a question specific to Next, please feel free to reach out to cloudcoms@google.com. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacinda. So just to reinforce what she was saying before about customers, The customer reference team has spent a lot of time qualifying a list. So if you are a Googler looking for a customer to add to your session, please know that we have a list and that it should be sent to you. We could send it to you. You could send a question to our alias and we'll get it to you. The other thing is we want to thank the customers on the line that are presenting. We appreciate you giving your comments and insights because I know that a lot of attendees want to hear from you. So we appreciate it. And for partners, thank you also. It's important to have the ecosystem perspective. We want you to be successful. And if you have other customers that you want to add, let us know and we could get them in. I just want another shout out to the partners to say, hey, thank you for all the great submissions we got. Unfortunately, we couldn't get them all in, but for those that got in, congratulations and thank you. If some of you who may have done Next last year were familiar with the G2G presentation coaching, we are going to roll that out again this year. So stay tuned for more information. If you're interested in presentation coaching, let us know, and we'll also get you information after this. So very quickly, if you're interested in to know how many sessions we're doing, we are actually doing 14 sessions, breakout time bands throughout the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And that translates basically into 32 sessions per time band. So that's a lot of sessions, a lot of content, and we're making a lot of different journeys for different people depending on the topic. So as I mentioned earlier, over the next 4 to 5 weeks, we'll be scheduling and making a big schedule. So those will be in. I just wanted to give you that information. So let's get to questions. So we'll put the Dory up and we'll respond to questions as they come in on if we have any in the room. Okay, cool. Oh, can you scroll up? Oh, okay, great. So first question is when will the SRC have the room block available? We're working on that. It should be available as you register. If there's a technical issue, we'll handle that. Can you scroll down more? Yes, so speaker rehearsal day on June 6th. Do we need to be in the US for that? No, actually, that's a rehearsal, virtual rehearsal. So basically, wherever you are, invite the right pools of peers into your session, presentation session, and that will be your rehearsal time. Can you scroll down? So as I mentioned before, question related to, will I get a list of registered attendees for the session ahead of time? Yes, but not their contact information. You'll have at least their company name and title, and probably their name. But you will see how many people you will be addressing. Another question is, what is the process to include other Googlers in presentations for support or lab sessions? Just let us know through the speaker alias, and we'll add them. But make sure that you let us know what your AV requirements are. In the SRC will talk about specifically what's in the room to support a demo. Have a look at that. And then if you see that you need additional things outside, it's called AV special requests. Let us know what those special requests are. So if you need a viewer, you're showing a mobile device and you want a viewer, that's not standard in the room. So things like that. I have an out-of-town speaker arriving from the UDES a few days early. When will the hotel blocks be covering? I can confirm that with our Reg team, but I expect from Sunday. I'm not sure exactly, but we'll confirm that on the Dory. What is the process to update session abstracts? Just let us know via the alias, that is our central hub, to update any and all things. Specifically, if it's something embargoed, please don't include it. We have a note behind the scenes that we have already marking it embargoed. If something wasn't embargoed but now is, let us know and we'll take it down. We can put it back up. We have the ability to change the live publishing quite quickly. How should we be selecting these peers for our June 6th Prezzo? Is the next team going to help us with that, or are we self-sourcing and scheduling the dry runs individually? So that's a good question. So first is, who do you think should be in it, number one. Number two is, we'll ask the track owners who they think should be in it, because there's definitely a DevRel content person that's an SME assigned to the content you're with. And that's what would happen. If you need help with the scheduling, let us know, and we're working on support for that. Will there be more speaker orientations like this one, asking, since it looks like there were speakers for the embargoed sessions and other sessions we're not here yet? Actually, that is a good question. We thought that the same. I know with the timeline, we had to get some sessions published and also do this just to get the ball rolling. So if there is critical mass, yeah, we'll do it again. But we will post this video in on-demand format to Go Next 18. So people that haven't seen it, and for new speakers, but we probably will need to do another one. Where can I access the training deck? The training deck, do you mean this deck? We'll make this available also on the Go/Next18 website. I don't know if I mentioned in the Speaker Resource Center, we will be posting the template, which has been reviewed by branding and PR. They also include some more detailed information from our legal and PR team to help you avoid unnecessary delays in the scheduling. I'm on my vacation on June 6th. Can I do my rehearsal at a later date? Actually, can you do it earlier? That's what we'd like. Do it earlier if you can. You know, go on your presentation, go on your vacation, you know, having the work behind you if you can. Understand that you may need to do it later, but if you have to do it later, you can do it later. Does a second presenter receive complimentary admission as well? Yes, and that's a good question too, but we would like to try to limit as best we can the breakouts to 2 presenters. I know that some may need more for technical support, a technical demo, a new customer. If it's a panel, then make it a panel. But in a breakout, we know that what happens sometimes in behavior for conferences, sometimes people try to get in as a session to get into conference for free. But we want each speaker to be on stage delivering some value to the customer. So by all means, they'll receive a free pass, a complimentary pass if they're contributing to the content. Any other questions? Any questions that came in onto the YouTube chat by chance that we may have missed? Here's a question on YouTube. Will you be recording the sessions and making these available after the event? Yes, we will have an on-demand experience after the event, and a number of sessions will be recorded. We'll know more of the recording plan probably by the Know Before You Go, which leads me to another thing. Make sure that if you're a customer or partner, that you are already approved for being recorded. We don't want to have a session that's great content, but we can't record it for people that can't see it after. We do have, when you're invited into the Speaker Resource Center and we send the invitation to you, you should have received an email where you click and confirm the speaker release form. And that's a speaker release form that you click from the email invitation. So we have to make sure that everyone has signed that before they present and then are recorded. So thank you for that question. So a question came up, how do we do content reviews with customer speakers? It's a great question. If you are including partners and customers in your presentation, we are expecting you to arrange a briefing with that customer before you present and as you develop content so you can add them into the flow of your session. If you have questions, always reach out to customer reference. If you have a question about which customer you should reach out to, it doesn't hurt. They're here to support us as well, and we'll do everything we can to make sure that you're supported in having that customer have the best experience. And the reason why it's important to reach out to customer reference is we also have a bunch of customers being asked and have agreed to participate in all the other programs we have at Next. There's Leader Circle, there's Partner Summit, there's an analyst event, there's an investor relations event, there's an influencer event. There's keynotes, there's spotlight sessions, all of which we're asking customers to participate in. So they have a kind of central view so that we're not giving multiple questions or inquiries to the same customers or inundating the sales teams with multiple requests from different people. So keep that in mind. And I think if there's any more Dory questions, can you scroll up, please? I think that's it. Yep. I think that's it. Well, again, thank you so much for being part of the next program, we're all on the same side to deliver the best and unique and educational products and breakouts for people. And you're going to do a great job. We know it. So thank you very much. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Easy now, you don't need figure down. Easy now.